Shalom. Very, I think, powerful that the 200th anniversary of the birth of perhaps the greatest American president ever, Abraham Lincoln, coincides this year with the reading of the Ten Commandments in the synagogue in Yitro, in the book of Exodus. Think about Abraham Lincoln's life. And 200 years ago, he was born. He was born in a one-room log cabin to uneducated farmers. His mother died when he was 9. He had 18 months total of formal education. Great sadnesses in his life, including having 4 children, only one living to adulthood. Had many enemies in his political life, many enemies, people that despised him. Whatever he tried to do, there were people who said he wasn't doing enough, and people said he was doing too much. And he lost elections several times. So how did he become such a great president? Well, first of all, one lesson from Lincoln is that you have tests in life to forge your character. And sometimes you fail, but you keep on moving along. But in the biographies of Lincoln, one of the things they say is that he always kept his eye on the main thing. He tried to brush off the criticism. He dealt with it with humor. And he always kept his eye on the main objective. The other thing is, you don't have to be so wordy to be a brilliant thinker and a brilliant communicator. He wrote some of the great speeches in American history, which is really sacred literature of American life. And he did it in a very brief way. The Gettysburg Address, a couple of minutes, scribbled it on an envelope, I think. And we don't even know exactly what he said because there are 5 different copies of it. In one of the biographies of Lincoln, it says one of the greatest speeches that was completely memorized and people were just stunned. We don't even have the language of it. And think about all the things he did and accomplished as president. He won the Civil War and kept the United States whole. He freed the slaves, the Emancipation Proclamation. And one of the other things that he did was the enemies, the people that despised him, he put in his cabinet, he kept around him. Maybe to keep an eye on them, but also to perhaps turn them into more advocates. Perhaps it's even like President Obama putting some of the people like Hillary Clinton, the Secretary of State, who was his main opponent. Interesting also, I come from the state of Illinois, and we have here now another president who was a senator in Illinois, came from humble beginnings. He grew up maybe the only president or one of the few who was born outside the continental United States, just like Lincoln was the first president born outside of the original 13 colonies. And just like Lincoln, this president faces tremendous challenges, deep problems in the economy of the country and in the world. America still at war with many troops overseas. Great challenges. I think the important point for a Jew, besides Lincoln actually being very supportive of the Jews, and Ulysses S. Grant had some anti-Semitic dimensions to his life, wanting to ban Jews from certain areas, and Lincoln overrode it and wrote very positive things about the Jews. But I think the main point for Jews on this Shabbat, whenever you're watching this, thinking about the juxtaposition of his 200th birthday, with the anniversary of the reading of the Torah, of the Ten Commandments that we do in Yitro, that for the Jewish people, we have a sacred text which has shaped Western civilization. We have to keep our eye on the main thing, the Ten Commandments. Of course, people break the Ten Commandments. That's why we have repentance. But that doesn't change the fact that they are this key structure of society. Now, some people make the mistake and say that they're the only commandments. And I have a video called The Ten Commandments which explains this. They're not. In Judaism, there are hundreds of commandments. I mean, think about the most important commandment of all, love thy neighbor as thyself, and love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and might. Neither of those are in the Ten Commandments. Passover is not, Yom Kippur is not, Rosh Hashanah is not. So there's a lot of commandments that we hold dear that are not there. And yet, those 10 we understand as the basic structure of any civilization. And so as we think about the tests that we face in life, and the challenges that we face, and the point of our life, perhaps it's clear enough to simply say it doesn't take a lot of words. It doesn't take a lot of words to understand what the key point is. In fact, the Ten Commandments are not called the Ten Commandments in the Bible. That's a later term. They're called Aseret HaDibrot. What is the word dibrot? It's from the word devar or dibur, a word or a thing. 10 words. Now, of course, there's more than 10 words, but it doesn't take much. And so I think it would really behoove us to memorize the 10. Now, Jews and some Christians have different orderings, but basically it's the same. It's to accept the existence of God, have no other gods and no idols, not take God's name in vain, honor the Sabbath, honor your mother and father, don't murder, don't steal, don't commit adultery, don't bear false witness, and don't covet. Pretty simple, and the core basics of society. So we salute Abraham Lincoln and all he meant for America and all he did for America and what he taught us, with malice towards none. And his idea about doing what's right as God shows us what's right, what we believe, to come together for a world of peace for us and for all of the world. Happy birthday, Abraham Lincoln. Great status of being the first president assassinated, and yet the legacy he lives is even taller than the 6'4" that he was. Shalom.